Hey guys, it's Brent and welcome. We're now on part 5. It's part 5 already of the science of getting rich, attracting abundance using your creative power. Like I said, it is part 5. We're getting close to the end here. So let's jump right into it. Let's pull it up here. There we go. Today, we're going to start off with how to use the will. All right, so I'll go ahead and read. If you're just joining me and you aren't sure exactly what we're doing, we're taking apart one of the greatest books on financial creation. It's by Wallace Wattles. It's the legendary Science of Getting Rich. What I'm doing, because it was written over 100 years ago, the language is a little clunky. I'm reading it, we're tearing it apart a little bit, going into the mechanics of it. So right now we're talking about willpower. All right. To set about getting rich in a scientific way, you do not try to apply your willpower to anything outside of yourself. You have no right to do so anyway. It is wrong to apply your will to other men and other women in order to get them to do what you wish done. It is flagrantly wrong to coerce people by mental power as it is to coerce them by physical power. If compelling people by physical force to do things for you reduces them to slavery, compelling them by mental means accomplishes exactly the same thing. The only difference is in methods. If taking things from people by physical force is robbery, then taking things by mental force is robbery as well. There's no difference in principle. You have no right to use your willpower upon another person, even for his own good, quotation marks, for you do not know what is truly for his good. The science of getting rich does not require you to apply power or force to any other person in any way. This is not the slightest necessity. Well, there is not the slightest necessity for doing so. Indeed, any attempt to use your will upon others will only tend to defeat your purpose. You do not need to apply your will to things in order to compel them to come to you. That would simply be trying to coerce the universe and would be foolish and useless, as well as completely irrelevant. You do not have to compel God to give you good things any more than you have to use your willpower to make the sun rise. You do not have to use your willpower to conquer an unfriendly deity or to make stubborn and rebellious forces do your bidding. Substance is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. To get rich, you need only use your willpower upon yourself. When you think you know what to think and do, then you must use your will to compel yourself to think and do the right things. That is the legitimate use of the will in getting what you want. To use it in holding yourself to the right course. Use your will to keep yourself thinking and acting in the certain way. Do not try to project your will or your thoughts or your mind out into space to act on things or people. Keep your mind at home. It can accomplish more there anyway. Use your mind to form a mental image of what you want and to hold that vision with faith and purpose, and use your will to keep your mind working in the right way. The more steady and continuous your faith and purpose, the more rapidly you will get rich, because you will make only positive impressions upon substance, and you will not neutralize or offset them by negative impressions. The picture of your desires, held with faith and purpose, is taken up by the formless and permeates it to great distances throughout the universe, for all I know. As this impression spreads, all things are set moving towards its realization. Every living thing, every inanimate thing, and the things yet uncreated are stirred towards bringing into being that which you want. All force begins to be exerted in that direction. All things begin to move toward you. The minds of people everywhere are influenced toward doing the things necessary to the fulfilling of your desires, and they work for you unconsciously. But you can check all this by starting a negative impression in the formless substance. Doubt or unbelief is as certain to start a movement away from you as faith and purpose are to start one toward you. It is by not understanding this that most people who try to make use of mental science in creating wealth make their failure. Every hour and every moment you spend in giving heed to doubts and fears, every hour you spend in worry, every hour in which your soul is possessed by unbelief sets a current away from you in the whole domain of intelligent substance. All the promises are unto them that believe, and unto them only. Now, notice how insistent Jesus was upon this point of belief, and now you know the reason why. Since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts, and as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it's important that you should command your attention. And here the will comes into use. For it is by your will that you determine upon what things your attention shall be fixed. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. Health is never to be attained by studying disease and thinking about being sick. Righteousness is not to be promoted by studying sin and thinking about sin. And no one ever got rich by studying poverty and thinking about poverty all the time. Medicine as a science of disease has increased disease. Religion as a science of sin has promoted sin. And economics as a study of poverty will fill the world with wretchedness and want. Do not talk about poverty. Do not investigate it. Don't concern yourself with it. Never mind what its causes are. You have nothing to do with them. What concerns you is the cure. Don't spend your time in charitable work or charity movements. All charity only tends to perpetuate the wretchedness it aims to eradicate. I do not say that you should be hard-hearted or unkind and refuse to hear the cry of the needy, but you must not try to eradicate poverty in any of the conventional ways. Put poverty behind you and put all that pertains to it behind you and make good. How do you make good? By creating wealth. That's the best thing you can do to help the poor. And you can't hold the mental image, which is to make you rich, if you fill your mind with pictures of poverty. Don't read books or papers which give circumstantial accounts of wretchedness. I'm reading this, by the way, of the horrors of child labor and so on. Do not read anything which fills your mind with gloomy images of wants and suffering. Again, this writing is clunky, and some of this is, come on, is a little, not mean exactly, but what he's saying here, what Wattles is saying here is true. You can't have a positive life by constantly focusing on the negative. You can't have wealth by constantly focusing on not having it. I don't have enough money for my bills. I wish I had this. All of that is blocking you from any sort of manifestation that you want. So while this writing, that's 110 years ago, is a little clunky, its basis is absolute pure truth. You have to be able to look through this fog. All right, let's keep going. You can't help the poor in the least by knowing about these things, and the widespread knowledge of them does not tend at all to do away with poverty. What tends to do away with poverty is not the getting of pictures of poverty into your mind, but getting pictures of wealth into the minds of the poor. You're not deserting the poor in their misery when you refuse to allow your mind to be filled with pictures of that misery. Poverty can be done away with, not by increasing the number of well-to-do people who think about poverty, but by increasing the number of poor people who propose with faith to get rich. The poor do not need charity. They need inspiration. Charity only sends them a loaf of bread to keep them alive in their wretchedness, or gives them an entertainment to make them forget for an hour or two. But inspiration will cause them to rise out of that misery. If you want to help the poor, demonstrate to them that they can become rich. Prove it to them by getting rich yourself. The only way in which poverty is ever going to be banished from this world is by getting a large and consistently increasing number of people to practice the teachings of this book. People must be taught to become rich by creation, not by competition. That line, in my estimation, is the line of the book, because we all think there's not enough. Everything is divided up into a pie, and I have to get my slice, and maybe I have to beat you out of it because there's only so many, and I can't have mine if you get yours. We have this whole idea of competition, and it's not competition. We're not pitted against each other. It's creation. Why? Don't compete for what's here. Create what's not here. Every man who becomes rich by competition throws down behind him the ladder by which he rises and keeps others down. Listen to that. Every man who becomes rich by competition throws down behind him the ladder by which he rises and keeps others down. But every man who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow him and inspires them to do it. Wow, that is incredibly powerful. You are not showing hardness of heart or an unfeeling disposition when you refuse to pity poverty, see poverty, read about poverty, think or talk about it, or listen to those who talk about it. Use your power of will to keep your mind off the subject and to keep it fixed with faith and purpose on the vision of what you want. So let's go a little further into the use of willpower. You can't keep a true and clear vision of anything, especially wealth or abundance, if you're constantly turning your attention to all these opposing pictures in your head, whether they're external or imaginary. Don't tell of your past troubles of a financial nature if you had them. Don't think about them. Don't talk about the poverty of your family or how you grew up when you were a child and you had to walk 10 miles to school in the snow with no shoes. Let go of that hardships of your early life. Because to do any of that is to mentally class yourself with the poor. For the time being anyway, and it'll certainly check the movement of things in your direction. Let the dead bury their dead, as Jesus said. Put poverty and all things that pertain to poverty behind you. You have accepted a certain theory of the universe as being correct and are resting all your hopes of happiness on its being correct. And what can you gain by giving heed to conflicting theories? Don't read religious books which tell you the world is soon coming to an end. Don't read the writing of muckrakers and pessimistic philosophers who tell you that everything's going to the devil. The world is not going to the devil, it's going to God. It's a wonderful becoming. True, there may be good things in existing conditions which are disagreeable, but what is the use of studying them when they are certainly passing away, and when the study of them only tends to check their passing and keep them with us? Why give time and attention to things which are being removed by evolutionary growth when you can hasten their removal only by promoting the evolutionary growth as far as your part of it goes? No matter how horrible in seeming may be the conditions in certain countries. Boy, that's clunky, huh? So no matter how it looks in other places, you waste your time and you destroy your chances by considering them, from bringing them into your consciousness, in other words. You should interest yourself in the world becoming wealthy. Think of the riches that the world is coming into instead of the poverty it's growing out of. And bear in mind that the only way in which you can assist the world in growing rich is by growing rich yourself. And by growing rich yourself through through the creative method, not the competitive one. Give your attention wholly to riches and ignore poverty. Whenever you think or speak of those who are poor, think and speak of them as those who are becoming rich, as those who are to be congratulated rather than pitied. Then they and others will catch the inspiration and begin to search for a way out. Because I say that you are to give your whole time and your mind and thought to riches. It does not follow that you're to be sordid or mean. To become really rich is the noblest aim you can have in life, for it includes everything else. On the competitive plane, the struggle to get rich is a godless scramble for power over other men. But when we come into the creative mind, all this is changed. All that is possible in the way of greatness and soul unfoldment, of service and lofty endeavors, comes by way of getting rich. All is made possible by the use of things. If you lack for physical health, you will find that the attainment of it is conditional on your getting rich. Only those who are emancipated from financial worry and who have the means to live a carefree existence can have and retain health. Obviously, they can follow better health practices, have better insurance. That's my addition to this. This is very, very true. And anytime Wattles talks about the future, as he did in the first couple of chapters, which are the earlier videos, he's dead on. And this was written 110 years ago. But when he says in the future, he's talking about air travel. He's talking about how it's going to be a booming industry with millions of people. This is in a time when we traveled by train. So he is very smart on a lot of things that he says. I mean, the book is the basis of every self-help book that deals with finances. I don't care if it's Tony Robbins' The Secret, Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Believing. It all springs from this concept. Moral and spiritual greatness is possible only to those who are above the competitive battle for existence. And only those who are becoming rich on the plane of creative thought are free from the degrading influences of competition. If your heart is set on domestic happiness, remember that love flourishes best where there is refinement, where there is a high level of thought, where there's a high level of freedom from corrupting influences. And these are to be found only where riches are attained by the exercise of creative thought, without strife, without rivalry. You can aim at nothing so great or noble, I repeat, as to become rich. And you must fix your attention upon your mental picture of riches, to the exclusion of all that may tend to dim or obscure the vision. You must learn to see the underlying truth in all things. You must see beneath all seemingly wrong conditions the great one life, ever moving forward toward fuller expression and more complete happiness. It is the truth that there is no such thing as poverty. There is only wealth. Some people remain in poverty because they're ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them. And these can best be taught by showing them the way to affluence in your own life, your own person and practice. Others are poor because while they feel that there is a way out, they're too intellectually stifled to put forth the mental effort necessary to find that way and by travel it. And for those, the very best thing you can do is arouse their desire by showing them the happiness that comes from being rightly rich. Others still are poor because while they may have some notion of science, they have become so swamped and lost in the maze of metaphysical theories that they don't know which road to take. Now, even more than ever, this is true. Everybody is a guru. Everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody's telling you their advice. Are they telling you what they did? Are they telling you what their clients did? Or are they telling you what they read someone else do? You have to be very careful who you listen to. There's so much unproven BS out there. because then you try different things and you fail. You try a few things, you may be successful, but you don't know what is working and what's not. The best thing to do is, this is what he says, for the very best thing to do is to show the right way in your own person and practice. An ounce of doing things is worth a pound of theorizing. That's true. The action step is what everyone misses. Otherwise, you're just daydreaming. You're not trying to manifest, because you're never going to manifest. You're just daydreaming. The very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. You can serve God and man in no more effective way than by getting rich. If you get rich by the creative method, that is, and not the competitive one. Another thing, we assert that this book gives in detail the principles of the science of getting rich. And if that is true, you do not need to read any other book upon the subject. Now, this may sound narrow and egotistical, but consider there is no more scientific method of computation in mathematics than by addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. No other method is possible. There can be but one shortest distance between 2 points. There is only one way to think scientifically, and that is to think the way that leads by the most direct and simple route to the goal. No man has yet formulated a briefer or less complex system than the one set forth here. It has been stripped of all non-essentials. When you commence on this, lay all others aside, put them out of your mind altogether. Read this book every day. Keep it with you. Commit it to memory, and do not think about other systems and theories. If you do, you'll begin to have doubts and be uncertain and wavering in your thought, and then you'll begin to make failures. After you've made good and you've become wealthy, you may study other systems as much as you please, but until you are quite sure that you've gained what you want, don't read anything on this line but this book, unless it be by the authors mentioned in the preface. And read only the most optimistic comments in the world's news. That's going to be difficult, especially nowadays with the news. Postpone your investigations into other theories. Do not dabble in blah, 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 blah. Okay. If you begin to... Now, the preceding chapters have brought us to the following statement of basic facts. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought. Man can form things in his thoughts, and by impressing his thoughts upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants and hold this picture in his thoughts with the fixed purpose to get what he wants and the unwavering faith that he does get what he wants, closing his mind against all that may tend to shake his purpose, dim his vision, or quench his faith. And in addition to all of this, we shall now see that he must live and act in a certain way. Okay, now we're ready. Tomorrow, we'll be back with part 6. Tomorrow, finally, acting in the certain way. We're going to tell you what it is. Wattles talks about this all through the book. If you act in a certain way, in a certain way, in a certain way, in a certain way. Now, tomorrow, you're going to find out what that certain way is. And again, it's powerful. So join me back here tomorrow for part 6, acting in a certain way. We only have a few more of these left. This book only has about 60 pages. So I think we can probably do this in 7 videos. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Don't forget, please join our Facebook community. It's a fantastic group of like-minded people. They are banded together. They are helping and empowering each other to reach their goals, their dreams, and shatter that programming that we have had implemented since we were born. The moment we're born, our parents are programming us. They're programming us with their parents' ideas, religion, society at large, media, government, friends. And by the time we graduate high school, we are perfectly programmed and domesticated beings. If you want to live a life on your terms, if you want to live a life by design and not a life by default, then it's time to take control of that programming. Join us, facebook.com/groups/students of self-empowerment. And also, please take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We work really hard for you in this community. Everything is about you. I've spent 30 years touring the world and teaching people all about the incredible powers of the human mind. But now it's you. It's the most of us who don't understand how things work. The most successful people in the world, they have access to this sort of thing that we just don't. When we're working a 9-to-5 job and trying to exist, you have to understand how things work. This community is for you. The tools, the tricks, the techniques, the processes that you need to take you from where you are to where you want to be. And it's all free, but we need your help. We got to get the word out. We got to spread this word, and we have to get more subscribers. For one thing, we're at 350, I think. We can start monetizing at 1,000. Again, it's not a money-making proposition, but we spend hours every day. My staff spends hours every day. I am here. So we would love to get some more subscribers on YouTube. So send your friends, your family, everybody. YouTube.com/BrentWebbOfficial. Finally, it's almost the holidays. So this year, instead of giving dad an ugly tie or mom another bottle of perfume, or giving your son who lives in the basement a new copy of Modern Warfare, why not give the gift of transformation? No physical gift you're ever going to give is going to have that kind of impact. So this year, it's self-improvement under the tree. It's personal development. If you go to BrentWebb.com, you'll see everything that I have to offer, all my books, courses, and my one-on-one mindset reset program. I actually had a client the other day who she's a coaching client, but she gave coaching sessions to her daughter as a holiday gift. Mindset reset. That's what some of us need. Even the most successful people in the world have mentors. That's why they're successful. They understand that there are areas they are killing it in, and there's areas they're not as good in. And a successful person takes that area and they use a mentor. I have two. Everybody from Tony Robbins all the way down have mentors. So if you're looking for a little help and you want to have a mindset reset and get control of where you are right now, you have to just acknowledge where you really are, not the sanitized version that you're showing to the neighbors, not where you wish you were, but where are you really? And look at it in the cold light of day. And then we can activate your goals again. Look at them. Decide, what's important to you. Again, not what's important to someone else. This is not a cookie cutter program. It's completely designed for each person individually. That's why you have to apply to work with me. It's not something that everyone can do. We got to be compatible. It's a weekly one-on-one virtual session. So we do 45 minutes once a week, and we meet via Zoom or Skype. They are recorded. You get to keep them, but we work on what's important to you. I take your goals, we infuse them with new power, new energy, and then we push them farther forward than they've ever been before and make them now not only a possibility again, because a lot of times we don't even keep the dreams anymore. We start getting older and we let the dreams go, but they're not only a possibility again, but they become your reality. And that's what we do. So if you want a mindset reset, go to BrentWebb.com, get some more info. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Brent Live in the morning. We're doing a series on happiness. You're going to love that. And then tomorrow night at 7, we'll be back with the next edition of The Science of Getting Rich. So that's all I got for you today. I want you to go out and I want you to enjoy yourself. It's a beautiful day, no matter where you are, because you're alive and well. So don't worry. Be happy and feel amazing. I'll see you tomorrow.